One of the biggest hacks you can have in your real estate business is relationships with end buyers. Knowing what people are looking for makes it really easy to go find deals for them. Now, the biggest challenge people have with that is, what the heck do I even say to these people? How do I get someone who has all this money, that's buying all these properties, to want to give me their information and say, yeah, sure, send me what you got? Well, in this training I'm about to show you, we put together a script showing you exactly what you need to say to these people to start finding real end buyers for your deals. Not only will it help you expand your real estate business, it'll also help you make more money on your deals. When you sell your own deals, you will make on average an extra $5,000 to $10,000. So you need to be finding your own end buyers, and this is how you're going to do it. Let's get to the training. We're going to do a little buyers list building today on a Sunday. Hopefully you guys are doing amazing. How are we feeling today, y'all? How are we feeling? Hope y'all doing great. So a couple things that I want to cover as we kind of dive into this, like when this is necessary and how does this actually work. So in my business, let's start from the top, right? So buyers list building. This is our topic for today. Okay. Now, when this comes into effect, not builder, but building, like normally everything is kind of already taken care of itself. We get leads coming. Realtors is how 99.9% of our leads come in nowadays, is from realtors, right? So however you get leads, but primarily with us, we're getting leads with realtors, right? That's where the start of the funnel, you could call it, is. Now from here, what happens next as a part of this assembly line is we work those leads, right? So we call the leads to vet them, basically make sure it's actually worth your time, right? If it's not, you guys know how to kick them out, how we organize those leads and stuff like that. You're watching this masterclass and you're clueless and you're like, what in the heck is Matt talking about of how to work these leads? What does he mean? There's a ton of recordings in the masterclass past inside the school community. You guys can go watch this. But basically, we're calling realtors, and whenever they give us an address, we categorize them as a tier 1. Now, if they give us an address and it doesn't work out for any reason, which 49 times out of 50 is the case, then we go ahead and categorize that agent as a tier 2. They gave us an address, but it didn't work out. Now, we do call agents and we text agents all the time. In fact, I was working on this morning inside of the CRM. I can give you guys like 5 examples potentially of me talking to an agent this morning, and they said, no, I don't have anything. And I said, great, no worries. Can I follow up with you? And they say, sure. So those people we categorize as a tier 3. So I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. That's basically what we do. So we call them, we vet them, and figure out, does it make sense to continue on, right? For the leads that they gave you an address, and it makes sense to continue to see if you can put an offer in, see if it gets accepted. Then at this point, step 3 in this process is we underwrite the lead, right? We underwrite it and we see if this is going to be worth our time. We get our real numbers, like we need to be at this price. And the next step after that is we negotiate the deal. Okay. Now, after we pass the negotiations phase, there's a lot of chances for deals to fall out, right? They could fall out here and this agent can go to tier 2. The address is dead, but the lead with the agent is not. They could fall out here under underwriting and we realize like, oh yeah, we're way off on prices. Doesn't make sense to continue on. I'm gonna call the agent and just say, look, this doesn't make sense. So we're going to mark them tier 2 potentially here, or it could fall out here when we go to negotiate the deal. It'd be marked tier 2 at this point. When an agent gives you a lead, they can never be a tier 3 anymore. They can only be a tier 2 or a tier 1, and agents will bounce back and forth until you finally do a deal with them. At that point, there's going to be permanently a tier 1 agent. The money in this model comes from working your leads and talking to tier 1 agents every single day, working your tier 1. That's where the money is. Okay, time and time again. This is a foolproof thing. Like we do it. And the fun thing about doing a deal a day for 30 days and being 6 days in, there's no hiding from it. Like I can't be telling you guys this stuff and it not work, because I would be 6 days in and have 0 deals. We have 12 deals in 6 days. It works. This is the model. This is the process of turning leads into money. Simple, straightforward, but there's a lot of little things that can happen along the way, right? So now after this, we underwrite the deal and we negotiate it. Now, at this point, after we negotiate the deal, we'll then send the contract, right? So if you guys are using Deal Generator, you know how this looks inside of the pipeline. Once we have the offer accepted, we send the contract. And once the contract is sent and they sign, right? So then this next step is they signed contract is what you get back. And after you get the signed contract, you send it. Once you send a contract is another opportunity for them to fall out. They may ghost you. They may say, oh, we got another offer, or, oh, thanks for this. We'll get back to you, right? That's the worst feeling in the world. You've now like played your cards and you're hoping beyond a hope that they'll actually sign with you. You don't want to play your cards until you know they're going to sign, basically. Now, once you get a signed contract back, this is where the fun starts. There's a whole another job that happens after you get a signed contract back, right? I tell you guys in the beginning that we focus on these steps, right? To keep it simple, leads coming from agents, we call and vet them, we underwrite them, we negotiate the deal, we send the contract, and then we get the contract back signed. And at this point, we are good to start marketing this property to find end buyers. But the reality is, before any of these steps happen, before we send the contract, before we negotiate the deal, as we go through underwriting, and as we go to call and vet these leads, I normally already have a buyer in mind or buyers in mind or a buy box in mind before I even go through the process. I know what I'm looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's kind of tough out here, right? Everything that's shiny looks like gold or everything was dull. It's one or the other. It's either you think everything's a deal or you think nothing's a deal because you don't know any better. So having the acquisition always comes down to understanding the disposition. Now, this doesn't matter if you're building a wholesale business, a fix and flip business, building out your portfolio, getting multifamily deals, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, this is the name of the game. You have to understand disposition. And disposition is just a fancy word of you're disposing of a deal to its highest and best use. Is that me wholesaling it? Is that the highest and best use with this deal? 123 Main Street? Do I just give this to someone else? Oh, is the highest and best use? Is it going to be doing a fix and flip? Oh, is the highest and best use of this one adding it to a portfolio, or is this should go into someone else's portfolio? What's the highest and best use of this opportunity? Does that make sense, you guys? As we build out our business, we don't want to do everything. Real estate is one of those things where everything looks like an opportunity. And this is what I was explaining to the group during my live streams. I'm like, look, whenever you're like a restaurant, well, every person who comes to the door, like, you're like, all right, cool. Yeah, we have food for you. Right? We have food for you. Go check out the menu, buy our food. But the problem is you can't be everything for everyone. You can't be a restaurant that makes chicken and burgers and someone comes in and wants lasagna, is the example I used. What happens a lot of times in the real estate business is we try to make lasagna, but only thing we have in the back is hamburger buns and fried chicken. That's all we got. And we're back here trying to make something for somebody, and it's not our business. This is not our customer. So in the beginning, your verticals for making money in your wholesale business or in your business in general. Like, and by the way, guys, I don't believe you should build a wholesale business. I don't. I believe you should build a deal finding business. I believe you should find deals that you can figure out what to do with them. Once you build out your verticals on disposition, you have some fix and flippers, you have private money lenders, you have hard money lenders that can help you take down your properties, and you have vendors that can help you manage the flip. You have people who want to partner with you on creative deal acquisitions, and you have people who are looking for multifamily deals, and you have those buyers who are buying motels and hotels and stuff like that, right? Like, you build out your verticals on disposition because it opens up new menu items for your restaurant, right? It opens up new things that you can do inside of your business. So we have to build out lines of business, and that normally comes from the disposition side. But I'll be honest with you guys, getting going is best to keep it simple. Understanding the quickest path of you making money is probably not starting out by doing fix and flips. For some of you, it might be starting out by doing fix and flips because you have partners and stuff. But like, if you have a deal finding business and you're like, oh, Matt, well, I got people who want to partner with me on fix and flips. They said, bring them some deals. Well, great. In your journey of bringing them deals, there's going to be a lot of deals they're going to say no to, but that doesn't mean that everyone's going to say no to it. There's plenty of people. Just because one buyer tells me it's not a deal, just because one person looks at my opportunity and says, this isn't a deal, Matt, I can't do anything with this, that doesn't mean that it's not a deal for other people. It's actually pretty normal. Like, we're only looking for one person who wants to buy it. The best deals typically have a few people, but like, I don't need one person telling me, no, it's not a deal, Matt. You know what I'm saying? So like, if I am just bringing deals for my fix and flip company, personally, I'm gonna cherry pick the very best ones, and the ones that I'm like, it needs a little too much work, or, you know, some's kind of sketchy. You could make 30 grand, or you could make 40 grand, or you could somewhere around 20, who knows? Someone would still probably pick that deal up, but you shouldn't, right? You want to play it safe. You want to do the definite deals until you have enough money where you're willing to take on the risk, and you can take on the risk. And it's not like, if I don't make this money, I am screwed, right? When you get to that point, you know, in your business, you're like, hey, look, we're okay with smaller margins. We're okay with bigger margins. We have our model figured out and we're good to go. Amazing, right? But in the beginning, you guys are figuring this out, and it's best to build out a buyer's list that can help support you do that, right? So you want to find the people that are buy and hold investors. You want to find the people that are your fix and flip investors. You want to find the people that are looking for some multifamily deals as they come up, but we're not specifically looking for that. This is where it's different than direct to seller. In our model with doing agent outreach, we can't control a lot of times what the leads get brought our way. Now, if I'm doing multifamily and I'm doing direct to seller, then I'm very intentional with the list that I'm pulling. But with agents, I'm saying, hey, bring me anything you got. I'm ideally looking for stuff that needs some work. Oh, you don't have anything like that? Okay, well, I could do nice properties at retail. They just have to be on creative finance. Oh, we don't have anything like that? Okay, well, we also do commercial. right? So like that one person, this one realtor is a deal finder for you. They can bring you all types of deals, but you don't want to ask for those things if you don't have the ideal end buyer in mind, right? So this is where I'll say we push to what we call, after we get a signed contract, to phase one. So I want to explain. Does that make sense, guys? Before I keep going here, does that make sense? Phase one of disposition. Okay. Hopefully it does. Now, what we want to do when it comes to, and I'll explain what phase one of disposition is in just a second, but what we want to do when we go to field these buyers out, like how the heck do we do this? And how do we go start finding people for our properties? Really, before we do that, you guys are in a really cool place because it doesn't cost you any money to get leads. You can pick up your phone, you can send text messages, and you can start reaching out to agents and you can get addresses like this, right? We did it in our January challenge. We're doing it every single day right now inside the other challenge. Like this part is pretty straightforward. You can get leads immediately. What I recommend doing is as you get leads, specifically off-market leads, this is the easiest way into your conversation to build buyers list. So people say, do you build your buyers list first or do you get deals first? It's the same question like what came first, the chicken or the egg? We need leads to talk to them about. We don't want to waste our time. We want to talk to them about other deals that have been blasted. We want to get some opportunities in. Like, we don't know if it's a deal or not, right? But if we start having a talking point that helps us into our conversation with our buyers, it's only going to help us build more rapport. If I'm calling a buyer and saying, hey, John, I saw where you recently bought this other home over here and you sold it. Are you still in the market for deals? Great. What are you looking for? Okay, well, I'll let you know if I come across anything, right? It's like, yeah, that could work. And yeah, it does kind of work. But I'll tell you, the biggest buyers, the way into the conversation that I have found to where they build rapport and they know that I'm not BSing them, I'm like, hey, I got this off-market opportunity. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm trying to figure out, do we flip it? Do we wholesale it? And to be honest with you, I'm not in a place to take on really any more flips. This is a virtual market for me. So I'm trying to find someone that may be interested in wholesaling it or may know somebody who is. If you like this video, then you are going to love our school community. School.com/no fluff real estate. You're going to find the recordings from our live trainings. You're going to have opportunities to join in on the live trainings themselves and literally everything you can imagine to get support on, from negotiations, underwriting, all the different topics that we don't even post on the YouTube channel or inside of the school community. But the best part is the community. Be surrounded by other investors that are doing exactly what you're doing, learning this information, but more importantly, taking massive action on it. Let's get back to the training. Interested in purchasing it. That is an easier way in the conversation. Step one in this, okay? So if we go here to the buyer's list building, okay? I'll go in and let me draw out another little box here. Step one, we get a lead. There's a couple reasons, right? We get a lead. Number one, it is a talking point for the conversation. But number two, when we get the lead and we get the address, we find it on the map and we use that and we find buyers within that area, right? So when we get an address, it's nice to say, okay, now that I have this address, let me go out 2 miles and find all the fix and flips. This is an easy talking point to all these people that are already doing deals in this area. And if you guys watched our masterclass a week ago, we use a tool, Investor Base, to do this. You could use Zillow. You guys heard me talk to an agent from Zillow about a property that I had off Pinehurst we were looking to sell. I called an agent out of the blue. She had a fix and flip. We had a conversation. It actually went really well. It was just her and her husband. They do flips. She was a listing agent for her own property she had up that she flipped, right? But it was easy for me to talk to her because I'm like, yeah, I actually have one like not even 300 yards away from your house. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with. Step one is you get leads because it helps with your talking point and is great for specific buyers. Now, what do you ask these people on the phone? Okay, because we're going to build out a little bit of a script here today, but we personally created this form. So this form is for our deal generator account. So anytime we're going out and we're prospecting buyers, I want to start putting people in the right buckets. We're calling and we're using Investor Base. Let's use one of our deals for an example. I'm going to use one that we just got in yesterday for the challenge. Okay, so this is a contract that we got in the challenge. It is listed on market for $290. We have it under contract for less than that. But if I was like, you know what, I'm going to try to find someone in this area that is doing fix and flips, of course, I could click out of here. I could see what's going on over here and I could try to find, renovated homes, just like I showed you guys on Zillow. I can go like for sale. What is something that like maybe within this area, I'm going to remove all this stuff. No minimum, no maximum. and I can do coming soon, accepting backups. And I could say for the MLS keywords, I could say recently renovated, hit apply. Okay. So that removed quite a bit, but we have this home right here. Let's see if it looks like it's a flip. It was purchased in 2020. This is not a flip. Let's see here. Let's go over here to 835. Probably not a flip either. Let's go over here to 600. Let's see if this one was a flip. Not a flip either. Like, I'm just clicking through, and how I know if it's a flip or not is based on their years, like how long have they owned the property, right? So if they have bought it in 2024, did they see a return on their purchase? This clearly wasn't fix and flip. They bought it at 554 and they're selling it at 560. This is not a flip, right? So I can kind of thumb through some of these listings. These are all really expensive homes. So I can kind of thumb through some of these and I can see like what looks like it was purchased in like painted white, basically. Your clear indicator of you're dealing with a fix and flipper, right? There's not much. There's a lot of just standard houses up here. Okay, 835, 700 for this one, 370 for that one. I mean, let me check the 370. What's going on with this? This can't be a flip. But like you could do this with Zillow, but you can see it could just take some time to find a fix and flip here using Zillow. So what we showed you guys was we used Investor Base. So what I would do is I come over here. Let me share this tab. I type in our address. Here we go. I'm going to look for flippers who bought stuff in the last year. Okay, here we are. There we go. Okay, there's been 4. Okay, Mark Johnson looks like he bought this one over here. He bought it for $317 in February, sold it in September for $430. Okay, interesting. I can click the Zillow link. I can see his property. There you go. That was one that he did. Great. That's right down the road from me. Got another one, 325 to 415. Not sure if that's one. 255 to 450. Definitely one. Renew Resi LLC with Ben Winwood. That sounds kind of like a hedge fund, but I don't know. We'll check it out. They bought this and resold it. They purchased it for 255 and 275 and sold it for 450. Okay. There's some investor activity. Now, what you would do and what we showed you guys on that, I'm not going to do that on this training. You can go back and watch that masterclass. But what we do is we pulled this list and we started calling these people. Now we didn't have a script. Here's another good one, 565 and sold for 760. This is probably the person I want to call because they're doing it at my price point. My house we have is it's a good amount lower than what they have it listed for. But ARV on it is probably about 585 to 600. So I want to see somebody buying in this price point and flipping in this price point. Laura is probably this person for me. We just called these people and we started having conversation with them and saying, hey, look, are you looking at trying to buy more property? I personally would rather build real connections with people with real end buyers by looking in and around the areas that I actually have a property to discuss with them. Whether I got a lead, I don't know if it's going to work out or not. I don't even have to have it under contract, but it's an easier way in the conversation. If I want to go out 10 miles, guess what? At this point, I probably got a lot of fix and flips that I can call. And it's like, I don't know if you're buying over in such and such or in this area or whatever. There's 106 flippers, different flips in a 10-mile radius from our property. I'm talking about building the buyer's list. And it even tells you, look, Walter's done 3 of these. Walter's done 3 flips in the last year. That's freaking awesome. So I probably want to call the people that are doing more than less. So what we do is we call them and we ask them, hey, are you still buying any flips? Let's build out that script. But before we do so, I want to show you guys our form. Okay. So we call them and all we're trying to gather is their first name, their last name, their phone number, their email address. Like, how can we communicate with you? How can we send you our deals? And then what specifically are you looking for? Like, what's your buy box? Like, I only like to buying at this price point. Numbers have to work. Well, they may give you a lot. They may not give you hardly anything at all, right? And then I'll categorize this by the type of investor that they are. Are they a fix and flipper? Okay. Are they a buy and hold? Are they for Burr, right? And this is a different kind of buyer. They're going to use traditional financing. There's a property I looked at earlier I think it was for Dwyer actually. And I was like, yeah, this property makes sense probably for a Burr end investor who's going to be buying and holding and doing a Burr. Probably didn't need any work. They can buy it and they already have 25% equity to go ahead and refinance if they need to into something, or just not refinance. Just go ahead and get immediate financing at 6.5% interest and this property still cash flows. Again, these are lines of business. These are menu items for me, right? I got fix and flippers. I got buy and hold investors that are doing Burrs and they have a specific buy box. I got buy and hold investors that are doing creative financing. We have creative finance investors that are doing long-term rentals. We have creative investors doing short-term rentals and, like co-living. Okay. That's all menu items for your business. You got land development, right? Some of you guys, I don't recommend starting in the land development world until you start having some deals, you get them under your belt, and then you're going to get land deals. You're like, what the heck do I do with these? Well, you're probably going to create some connections just by nature of adding buyers to your buyers list on the fix and flip side and the buy and hold side. I guarantee that you're going to run into buyers that is doing land development along the way. Like just yesterday, randomly, I was looking at a property in North Carolina for Nate, and I found a buyer who did new construction land development by trying to find a buyer for one of our properties. I mean, he's not going to tear down the properties that we have, but it's a different type of buyer I can call and say, are you still looking? Are you doing more new builds? Are you doing more development, more new construction? And it's an easier way into the conversation. So it's nice. That's how we categorize the buyers. Now, after that, we then categorize by their market. Okay. So some of you guys are not in as many markets we're in. We're doing 30 deals in 30 days, which requires me to be in many markets because we're not doing any other marketing strategy other than reaching out to agents. This is all we do. So I'm not adding in pre-foreclosures. I'm not adding in tired landlords or anything like that. So we're bouncing across multiple markets. Then a lot of you guys are bringing me deals all over the country. So I got to have buyers in all of our major markets. So how we categorize it at this point is like, okay, this is a buy and hold investor in Dallas. This is a fix and flip investor in Denver. This is a new construction person in Charlotte, right? We could see it in the system by having these categories attached to the contact card. Now, if you are doing this on a spreadsheet, you could do the same thing on a spreadsheet, right? You could say, a column for first name, last name, phone number, email, any note specific to them in their buy box. And then you could have a little drop down menu in your spreadsheet for type of investor and their main market for purchasing, right? You get a CRM to help you stay organized, to put little drip campaigns in place. Like we have it to where whenever we get a deal, I can blast out the deal to the people that specifically fit the criteria that we had already pre-selected for that person, right? That's the reason why you end up wanting to have something like this inside of a CRM. This form can be filled out by anybody. It can be filled out by a disposition rep, can be filled out by a virtual assistant who's calling and doing prospecting for you. Like you don't need a massive buyers list. Is the reason why I don't like commission someone full-time to do this. I don't commission someone full-time to go build a buyers list. Like you can have a really good list by having like 40 to 50 real buyers. Because if 40 to 50 people pass on your deal, it's probably not a deal, right? If they're real buyers, there's got to be one person in there that wants to pick up your deal. Okay. So you don't need hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Now, it is nice to have at least a couple dozen real buyers for every line of business, right? It's nice to have a couple real buyers, a couple dozen real fix and flippers. It's nice to have a couple dozen real buy and hold investors, a couple dozen real buy and hold creative investors. And eventually when you get parcels of land, it's nice to have a couple dozen people who do new construction. Because at that point, you can get real feedback on your deal. So let's build out a script together, assuming either you're going to be doing this or a virtual assistant. We want to say, hey, Susan, hey, whatever, right? Hey, I'll just say this is your name. I got your phone number from a platform called blah, 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 right? So if I'm calling from Investor Base, I like to tell them, hey, I got your phone number for a platform called Investor Base. Now, if you're not using Investor Base, if you're using Zillow, say the same thing. Hey, I saw where you had the listing off of 567 Main Street. I'll give you guys two examples. Let's do this, okay? Let's do Investor Base or something similar. Like you skip trace them and you got their phone number somehow. Let them know how you got their phone number. It's nice and it's real. Like that's a real human conversation. Like if I got it from the white pages, hey, I got your phone number from the white pages. I've been trying to get a hold of you, whatever, okay? This is John. I got your phone number from a platform called Investor Base. I have a property under contract that I am considering flipping or selling. I saw you sold a property off, right, their sold address, and was wondering if you are still buying. Okay. And I was wondering if you're still buying. Okay, it's Investor Base. So I guess this would be specifically for a fix and flip. Investor Base, this is Matt. I got your phone number from a platform called Investor Base. I have a property under contract that I'm considering flipping or selling. I saw you sold a property off blah, blah, blah. I was wondering if you're still buying. Okay, because Investor Base only shows you properties that have sold. Now, if I was doing the same thing and I was using Investor Base for the use case around rentals. So this is your buy and hold potential buyer. Let's go ahead and bold this. So I would say something very similar. Okay, this is Matt. Got your phone number from a platform called Investor Base. I have a property under contract that I'm considering flipping, selling, or turning to a rental. I saw you bought a property off their purchase address, and I was wondering if you're still buying. So this is for the use case. Again, we know heading into our buyers prospecting, if we have a property that makes the most sense for a buy and hold investor. But what you'll also see is a lot of people do buy and holds. They also do fix and flips. So if you talk to them and you'll see like in investor base, right? I can say, give me everybody within 10 miles that are flippers and landlords. So I can see both sides of the equation that they have done stuff in the last year. You'll see this 106 is going to go, okay, the good 139. So you see like all these people here. This is a landlord, Adriana Gonzalez. Okay. She bought this one and in-state landlord, turned it into a rental property. Eugenia, same thing, bought it, turned it into a hold. But we know before I call, some of these LLCs, they don't have the phone number for, but like before I call these people, I kind of already know what they're up to, right? And for many of you guys, like Ryan Horton here seems like it'd be a pretty good one. He's bought 2 buy and hold properties in the last year, right? He's appeared twice. This is pretty good. I'd probably call this person. But like most of the time, we're trying to find fix and flippers, right? But every now and then you get a property that's pretty clean and it doesn't need much work. And you're like, oh gosh, this one is not really a fix and flip. This would make sense. I'm getting it at a discount. This would probably make sense if someone was just looking to buy a rental and they're going to be using a bank loan. And they're like, look, instead of paying $250 for this house, I could pay $200, right? I get $50,000 in equity immediately right out the gate if I buy it from Matt because he's giving me a discount on this property, right? There are those investors out there and you do get those kind of properties. So we want to be able to prospect for them. So that's investor base for rentals. And then let's talk about a similar in on Zillow for a flip. So for Zillow, it's going to be very similar intro. Really like the intro is the biggest part of this whole entire script. People get lost in like, what do I even say? When I call a buyer, like, how do I actually, I don't want to sound dumb. It's like, promise you, really, it's this simple. It's just straight to business. Okay. Hey, this is Matt. I saw you had a listing off their listing address. I have a property under contract really close to that one. I was curious if your client was still purchasing fix and flips. Okay. This is Matt. I saw you had a listing off of 123 Main Street. I have a property under contract really close to that one. I was curious if your client is still purchasing fix and flips. There you go. And what I'll probably also say up here is I got your phone number from Investor Base. I saw you sold a property off of blah, blah, blah. I have a property under contract that I'm considering flipping or selling. It's really close to a property I saw you sold off 123 Main Street, and I was curious to buying. There you go. Cool. I like that a lot better. It's really close to a property. Yes. So I got your phone number from a platform called Investor Base. I have a property under contract that I'm considering flipping, selling, or turning into a rental. It's really close to a property I saw you bought off. There you go. 123 Main Street, and I was curious you're still buying. Perfect. Okay. So 3 different kind of ways of you guys having this conversation for the script. It's, hey, John, you know what? I'll go ahead and remove this end call. It's not necessary. Hey, John. Hey, this is Matt Beard. I got your phone number from a platform called Investor Base. I have a property under contract that I'm considering flipping or selling. It's really close to a property I saw you sold off 123 Main Street, and I was wondering if you're still buying. Perfect. Okay, so this is the intro. Basically, you say their name in a questioning tone, and then you'll say, hey, actually, let's just reaffirm. Just say awesome. Or no, let's do, hey, their name. Okay, doing this right here, right now. All right, their name. Beautiful. Okay, beautiful. Okay, from here, let's just say if no, or you know what, we'll worry about no later. If yes, you then want to ask or say, amazing, I can send you over the one that I have. Before I do so, what types of properties do you typically purchase? Right? We're asking them about their buy box. Do you also put or your client? So just in case they're a realtor, typically purchase. Sweet. If yes, right? And then from here, great. Let's think about this. Okay, great. So you typically are purchasing, restate through restate buy box and mostly looking to do restate investment type, right? Perfect. Amazing. I'll just say awesome. Well, what's the best way to send you over this opportunity? And if it doesn't work, I can send you more very soon. Let's just say, instead of that, let's just say, whoops, let's do that. Say, great. In case this one doesn't work out, I'm always getting new properties every day. How often should I send you my new opportunities? There you go. So you're getting a cadence. Then you'll say, makes sense. Let me go ahead and get this over to you. It's going to come from, and you say your email. Be sure to check spam for the first time and respond back to the email so I know you got it. Thank you, and I can't wait to do business with you soon. End call. Okay. All right. So how we want this to go is you got somebody on the hook. They said they are still looking and they're always buying. Normally, like these people you're going to find on investor base, they bought properties in the last year, you guys. So they're probably still going to be buying stuff. So most of the time, they want you to send what you have, right? You're giving them free business, basically. So it's a great upside for them, right? So if yes, amazing. Can I send you over the one that I have? Before I do so, say, amazing. I can send you over the one that I have. Before I do so, what types of properties do you or your clients typically purchase? Right. And they're going to say, oh, well, they're buying single family homes. They're looking for this. Got it. Great. So you're typically buying single family homes in, you could say like, if you need to restate, like you don't have their full buy box. Oh, in Atlanta, in Charlotte, in this area, in this county, whatever. Got it. And you're mostly looking to do fix and flips, buy and holds. Like, what do you like? You can restate their investment type in more of a questioning tone if you need to, and they'll confirm, right? So I think, again, we're just thinking about this form that we're going to fill out. Okay, I get my buy box I need to fill out. Okay, you're this type of investor, amazing, and you're buying in and around Phoenix. Okay, great, right? So I'm asking those questions. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Well, what's the best way to send you over this opportunity that I have, right? To get their feedback. I don't care if it's just a lead. We don't even have it under contract. It doesn't matter. And you really just want to do these with your off-market properties. That's why I stated that in the beginning of the training today. Off-market ones are the ones you want to use because if you gave them an on-market deal, they can just call the agent immediately, right? But if I got an off-market deal, they don't know who the agent is or who the agent potentially could be. Okay. So we'll say, awesome. Okay. Well, what's the best way to send this opportunity over to you? Great. In case this one doesn't work out, I'm always getting new opportunities every day. How often should I send you my new opportunity? I'll just say, or my new deals. There you go. Makes sense. Let me go ahead and get this over to you. It's going to come from whatever your email address is. Be sure to check spam for the first time and respond back to the email so I know you got it, right? Like first time you emailing somebody with a bunch of stuff, here's the address. Hey, thanks for the call, whatever. It's a good chance it's going to go to their spam. So go ahead and let them know it's probably going to go to spam, and then ask them to respond to your email, because if they respond to your first email, now if you add them to your deal blast, it's probably going to hit their inbox, or it's got a higher likelihood of hitting their inbox and not spam or promotion tab, etc. Okay. Thank you. I can't wait to do business with you. End call, right? And of course, if they're not buying, if not buying right now, I would ask, okay, can I get your email just in case you start buying again in the future? I'm always running into new deals, so I would love to send them your way when the time is right. Okay. So if they're not buying right now, there you go. And obviously if they're not interested, or, no, I don't want to do business with, that very seldom actually happens. You're talking about sending people off market, good opportunities. They're not going to do that. But if they're not buying right now, I say, oh, can I get your email just in case you start buying again in the future? I'm always running into new deals, so I would love to send them your way when the time is right. So at least still confirm. And if you get their email, again, you still want to ask them to please respond back, right? Say, great, I'm just going to shoot you a quick email real quick, just saying, hey, thanks again for the call. If you respond back to it, or it's probably going to hit your spam. But if you respond back to it that way in the future, if I do send you something, you'll actually see it. And, I promise you, I don't waste your time. I get a lot of deals just like everybody else that hardly ever work. They're always overpriced. I'm an investor, I'm a flipper myself. So I take into account holding costs, I take into account real renovation budget stuff. So if I send it out, the numbers are normally, it's right there, right? So promise you, I don't waste your time with properties that just don't make any sense. So that's how I kind of like to finish. So we would definitely want to encourage our buyers to respond back to our email. It gives us a higher likelihood that your future emails actually hit their inbox and they stay engaged with you and your business in the future, right? They could bring you opportunities. They may bring you a fix and flip. You may you add them to your buyers list, but they may bring you something saying, hey, I got this one sent my way, Matt, but do you want to do this? Again, like we're talking about creating a business that actually, focuses on the brand side of it rather than just being super transactional. Okay. So this is our script for buyer prospecting. You could say this, a virtual assistant can say it. It's so straightforward. It is so simple. If they don't want to talk, great, get off the phone. But if you're calling from investor base or something similar, right? You skip trace them and got their phone number somehow, mention that platform. It doesn't have to be, investor base, right? I'll say or similar, just in case someone's like, Matt, it's only for investor base or similar. But if you're calling Zillow, this is how you do it, right? And there you go. So I'm going to share this with you guys right now. Of course, I'm going to put this into the masterclass pass after everything is said and done. But here is our script. You could say this. Again, a virtual assistant can say it. Anyone can. So there you go. There's a script for you. Now, let's get back into what happens next, right? What happens after? Ooh, Terry's calling me. Maybe they got the contract back. I hope so. Please let it be our contract for today. Okay. So decline that for now. You got it, brother. You got it. So again, let's talk about what happens next on the flow chart. Hold on. Terry's calling in the middle of masterclass. Let me answer this because I'm still on the master. What's up, bro? Hang on one second, guys. Yo. Uh-huh. Mortgage, did you also say utilities? Okay, that's it? Yeah, they're about to sign it, but they just want to say that. They're going to sign it. Can you go ahead and sign it? I was like, can you go ahead and sign it? And then we can send an addendum to know they want to sign it with all that. They want to sign it saying we'll pay mortgage and utilities for March. Yeah. Got it. Okay, right. Thank you. Disposition. There you go, guys. Disposition. Just kidding. But yeah, that's our contract for today. Hallelujah. So look, we're doing the thing. We're doing it. We're talking about 30 deals, 30 days, day 6. We just got our contract on a Sunday. On a Sunday. Come on. I'm like, look, Sunday's gonna be kind of tough. Are we gonna be able to keep the streak alive? We got to keep the streak alive. I'm almost in the mood of like, hey, if we just, what if we just went like 60 days, 60 contracts, 60 days? I mean, we at this rate would get 120 contracts in 60 days. But then what if we just went 90 days? What if we went? I feel like Forrest Gump, right? I ran to the county line, then I ran to the state line, and I just kept running. So what if we just keep going? I don't know. We're having fun. Okay, which is going to create a massive bottleneck on the disposition side. But let's pop over and let me show you kind of how we break in. I was running. So I just want to keep it going. Like a part of the game is just to keep the game going. It's like reaching the pinnacle and finishing 30 days and being like, that was fun. Well, what now? Why don't you just like keep going? I don't know. I'm having fun in there. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Who's watching it, Dwyer and Max, and you guys are in here. I hope you guys are having fun watching it. But I'm having a blast. I know the weekend's a little slow. It was only 4-hour stream yesterday and another 4 hours today, but I'm having a blast. Anywho, back into the disposition pipeline. So we break this thing down into phases, and what you're going to see in your deal generator. Now you can take this, you can put this on a spreadsheet. I'm sharing this with you so you can do whatever you want with it. Okay. But the way deal generator works is as soon as we get a deal signed, we move it into, right? So the new contract, it creates a checklist. Okay. It assigns the user. So we have someone on our team that is responsible for disposition. If it's more than one person's job, guys, if any task is 2 people's job, it's no one's job. Okay. So all tasks need to have one person responsible for it. So if it's a one-man team, you're responsible for everything. If you have a partner, you guys got to figure out who's going to be responsible for what in this. Okay. Normally it works to have one person doing disposition. But to be honest with you guys, if you are keeping it lean and mean and it's just you and your business partner and maybe some VAs, it's not uncommon to share some responsibilities on disposition. And you don't have to feel like you're stepping over anyone's toes. But here are the tasks that are necessary that actually needs to happen during the disposition process. Okay. So phase 1, when we move something in deal generator to phase 1, it creates a checklist items, like it creates tasks, like to do, right? The first thing that we do is we create a Slack channel. Okay. The Slack channel is where I loop in my transaction coordinator. I share all relevant information about the property. I share the contract details. I share access. I share when the property, what the closing date is, the age of the roof, the age of the HVAC, and then what access is like, right? So I basically share everything that's in there. I create the Slack channel for it, right? So you'll see create Slack channel, name the Slack channel, add team members, upload all signed documents, put all property information in Slack, such as address, access, contract price, inspection period end date, and close of escrow date. Okay. That's what goes into the Slack channel. Next up, we then confirm access and schedule initial inspection. Hey, this is Matt. I work with Dwyer. He's amazing. I'm over here trying to make sure that we have a smooth transition in a transaction all the way to close. Okay. Surprises are good for birthday parties, not good for real estate transactions. Ha ha ha. Right. So let's talk about how we can actually do this. What does access look like? Is it owner occupied? I see this on Lockbox. Okay, great. Lockbox code is blah, blah, blah. Do you want me to call you before I get access, or should we just go by at any time? Like, how do you want to see this happen? Right. When we're working with realtors, we put them on the pedestal and say, how do you want us to do this? Right. Do we need to work with you? How do we get access to the property? You need to call them and schedule your initial inspection and talk about what continued access looks like. We need access to our properties we get under contract more than just the inspection period. We need continued access all the way to close of escrow. So we need to have that conversation here in phase 1. Next up, we then send it to our VIP buyers for initial feedback. So today I took our Georgia contract and I took our Florida contract and I sent it out to my VIP buyers. These are the people that have big buyers list and they also buy a lot of deals to do their own fix and flips. So normally they don't pay the most, but they're always performing, right? And they know good people and they also know if I have a good deal or not. So I like to send it to them first and get feedback. Do you want this one? Do you know anyone who wants this one? Okay, you don't? Great. Perfect. I'm gonna keep it going. Or you do. You just made my life a lot easier. After this, or really all these things happen at the same time, right? You're just knocking these things off. This is my to-do list for today is what's happening, right? I need to do this on my work day. And then we send in the contract and we see in the earnest money. So contract and earnest money is sent in within 48 hours, typically. Now, sometimes we try to set it up to where the earnest money doesn't need to be sent in until the end of inspection period because it kind of sucks to tie up your $1,500, your $2,000, or $500, whatever, just to have to go get it back in a week. So I normally say at the end of the inspection period, we'll drop in earnest money. But sometimes agents pitch a fit and they need it earlier. So up to you on how you want to handle that. I normally recommend doing it at the end of your inspection period. The inspection period helps save your butt. If you don't want to buy the property, you can cancel and get your money back. It's not that scary to get a contract when you have an inspection period. It is scary when you have non-refundable earnest money. Then you schedule your photos, right? So photos received, you push to phase 2. So all during this process, your initial inspection is where you get photos of the property. Once you get your photos back, you got an initial feedback and the property still hasn't sold to your VIP buyers. You've already sent a contract and you already sent an EMD. We now have the photos. It's now time to start marketing the property to your bigger list. We then at this point push this over to phase 2. Phase 2 in our disposition process. It's a checklist of items and this is how we handle it. First things first, we create marketing materials. Typically, this is creating an email, taking a photo of the house, putting it at the top of the email template, taking all the necessary information about the property, a link to the photos, your contact information, who to call, when to call, how do you get access? You can't get access without me. Like all your things, you create your marketing materials, right? Your Facebook template for groups, your Canva template for social media, your email template, and your text template. Depending on how much, obviously you've already garnered a buyer's list, you got some emails, you got some phone numbers, you want to have a template to make it where you can just plug it in and shoot it out. We could do that inside of Deal Generator. You can make your own email templates. You can make your own SMS templates. If you go to settings templates, you can go make your own on your business, right? You could drop little images in there. You can do all kind of cool stuff. So you create your marketing materials for the property. Next is you blast to VIPs and your buyers list. So I'm going to send it out to my VIPs again and my buyers list at this point. We then schedule inspections. I try to do all the inspections within like a day or two period. If it's hard to get access, I'm really going to try to get everybody in on one day and I may need to get in another day. And I just try to set the tone the best I possibly can with the agent. Now, if I'm working with an on-market deal, I do let the agent know that there's a good chance that someone's going to call them saying I'm wholesaling the deal or I got the property sent out for this much or blah, blah, blah. I'll let them know ahead of time and say, hey, I'm in the process of finding a partner for this deal. I don't know if I'm going to keep it and do this on my own or if I'm going to have a partner who's going to bring in some money. I need to have some people in and out the property to figure out who I'm going to partner with. In this process, there's a good chance that someone calls you trying to cut me out and saying, hey, let's letting you know, such and such trying to pay himself. Like we already talked about it. You're going to see an assignment fee on every single one of our deals that we do, regardless. That is what I do for on-market deals. I don't have to do that for off-market, but for on-market, I definitely do. So if you guys remember the deal I did on the live stream for Waco, I let her know ahead ahead of time. And lo and behold, while we're getting buyers into the property, someone called her and was like, hey, want to let you know this deal was sent to me for 140 and you're under contract for less than that. And she calls me like, what's going on? And I say, oh yeah, remember I told you such and such was going to happen? She goes, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah. Can you give me their phone number, please? So I can call them and have a conversation with them. So yeah, this is the nuance of working these deals, but we have our checklist items. We condense our showings into 2 days within our time windows, right? Again, your contract and EMD sent. This is when the deal is buyer is confirmed with earnest money and you push to assigned, right? So really this contract and EMD sent needs to say assignment and EMD sent is what needs to say here. But I mean, assignment contract is basically the thing, but just to remove any sort of confusion. So that is phase 2. We've got our property. Everything's ready to rock and roll. Now, oftentimes in the process of working with agents, after the inspection, as long as everything's working properly, you don't need to go ask for any other concessions. Like if you got to ask to extend escrow, it's going to be pretty hard for you to get a price drop, right? But if everything's working smooth, you're going to close on time and everything's great, like you can probably bank in another $3 to $5 grand on your deal by getting a price drop. Sometimes they're needed. After walkthrough, a max in here, we've got a deal in Oregon Trail where we got the deal under contract for 180 and we're like, yes, this is a home run at 180. This deal is worth 390. This house is worth 390. 180 is a great price. We go walk the property and it's literally like falling over. The roof has got holes in it. It's been sitting like that for not just like months, but for like maybe decades. We're talking 5, 6, 7, who knows, a long time. We're going to need to do a price drop. So we have a column inside of the CRM to go drop our properties that need a price drop, right? We need to call and negotiate a price drop. After that's said and done, we get our price drop and then we'll push it to assigned and then we'll keep it in an assigned column until the deal is closed. So we have a nice little pipeline. Look, you can use a spreadsheet if you need to, but I highly recommend breaking down your disposition process into these phases because these are the most important things that need to happen. And as long as someone is assigned to these tasks and these responsibilities and they happen, like, look, every deal, this is real estate. Let's be honest. Okay. There's going to be fires to put out. There's going to be, you know what, that's going to happen inside of every single transaction. Somebody's going to get mad at somebody. Title's going to get confused. The HUD isn't right. Whatever. Like these things happen almost every single transaction. So be prepared for that, right? But we're talking about making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So in that process, we're still solving problems. We're solving problems when we get the contract, and we are solving problems to get that deal closed all the way throughout the entire process. And that is where our money is created. It's not created in getting the lead. It's not created in getting the contract. It's created in being the procuring source, the person who went and got this opportunity, took it all the way to close. You finished, everybody was done with the deal. That's where you get paid. You get paid for the entire thing start to finish. So if you're new, it just makes sense to partner with people to potentially JV. If you've been doing this season and you're wondering like maybe why your revenue is a little inconsistent, maybe you're leaving money on the table, highly recommend implementing something like this to where you have a checklist items. So it's not just like throwing stuff up against the wall and hoping for the best. The sooner you guys can start building out your own buyers list using tools, investor base is cool, whatever you end up using, whether it be investor base, something similar, wherever you're pulling phone numbers from buyers and you're calling them, let them know how you got their phone number. These are people with money. These are people who could be your potential partners. Approach it like you're not trying to call someone who, hey, I just wonder if you're trying to sell your house. Like these are people who have the status and could be great partners for you in your future business. So I try to like approach it straight out the gate, full transparency. This is who I am. This is what I'm trying to do. This is even how I got your phone number. And I'm trying to get a hold of somebody who can potentially make some money together. If you approach it that way, it's just going to hit different. So for the masterclass today, that is our script. That is the pipelines and how you guys can stay organized. Those are the questions on the form. You guys can see how it works inside of our CRM. As soon as we call on Investor Base and we fill out that form now, that form is going to trigger a workflow inside of our CRM. It says, oh, this person is a fix and flipper. Great. This is the tag for that. And we're going to put them in this category right here. They're a fix and flipper and they're in Atlanta. It coincides with a pipeline inside of our CRM over here called our buyers pipeline. So they all go into the appropriate column depending on what city that they're in. We just built out this form for Deal Generator, super pumped to start using it, but organizing this stuff is important from the very get-go. You can make money in real estate just by continuing to try stuff out. You're going to make some money and it's going to be boom or bust, boom or bust, boom or bust. But having the right systems on the beginning, I'd said this before, but you're never going to rise to the level of your goals. You're always going to fall to the level of your systems. right? Systems are your habits. Systems are your business habits. So having things nice and organized, at least in your mind, understanding how they work. That's why, like, when I put somebody in Deal Generator, they automatically understand everything is basically laid out. You know how the system flows. You understand step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. You see how it kind of flows all together. And having it like a game plan already mapped out for you just makes it easier to implement. And it's easier to start getting results faster by doing that. And what I see is, like, as people continue to use it and as their business continues to get more and more complex, then they add in their own unique workflows. But having something to work off of in the beginning, pretty stinking cool. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to this edition of Masterclass on a Sunday. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. I am going to be popping over to the live stream for everybody inside of the group just to try to wrap up a contract for today before we end our Sunday. Appreciate you all. Hope you have a great afternoon. Save this, go back and watch it. If you're curious about how to build a buyer's list or building a disposition side of your business, this is the game plan. This is the format. This is the framework. Use this however you need. And hopefully this brought some value to you today. Hope you have a great afternoon. We'll see you later. Okay. Bye.